Again, I would like to welcome everyone to the 5th Annual Veterans Breakfast. As many of you may have noticed as you enter the room, we have a special table over here to your left, my right. This table is reserved to honor our missing men. Some here were very young or not yet born when the Vietnam War began. However, all Americans should never forget the brave men and women who answered the nation's call and served the cause to freedom in a special way. Allow me to explain the significance of each item on this table. The table is round to show our everlasting concern. The tablecloth is white to symbolize the purity that motivates when answering the call to service. The single red rose reminds us to live the lives of these Americans and their loved ones and friends who keep the faith while seeking answers. The yellow ribbon around the red rose vase symbolizes our continued uncertainty, the hope for their return, and our determination to account for them. A slice of lemon reminds us of their bitter fate, captured and missing in a foreign land. The pinch of salt on the plate represents or symbolizes the tears of our missing and their families who long for answers after decades of uncertainty. The lighted candle reflects our hope for their return, alive or dead. The Bible represents the strength gained through faith to sustain us and those lost from our country, founded as one nation under God. The glass inverted symbolizes their inability to share a toast. And the chair is empty because they are missing. Let us now have a moment of silence for the MIA POWs. There are glasses at every table with water. If we can all raise a glass at this point in honoring America's POW MIA to the successful of our efforts to account for them and to the safety, all now serving our nation. To the POWs. Thank you. Please join me in welcoming Dr. MAUREEN Murphy, President of the College of Southern Maryland, to the podium.
Thank you, Jeremy, and welcome to the College of Southern Maryland. This is an absolutely wonderful morning, and I'm happy to see all of you here. We've got representation from around our region. I'd like to note a couple of guests that we have with us. We have Terrence Taylor from Steny Hoyer's office. We have Brian Ely from the Charles County Sheriff's Office. There you are. We have two of our trustees, Brad Bates and Dorothea Smith. And we have Commissioner John O'Connor from St. Mary's County, and you'll be hearing from him in a moment. I'd like to tell you how grateful I am to those of you who have served. I'm an Americanist by training, and there's something special about the United States of America. We were founded on principles of freedom and equality, and indeed community colleges grew from those principles. We open our doors to everyone, we are inclusive, and we provide opportunities for people to achieve things they never have before. And your service has protected us and we're grateful for that. I personally thank you. Service comes at a sacrifice. We know that. I'm grateful for those of you who have chosen to sacrifice. It really matters in our country, and right now it is critical that we help people understand the meaning of this call to service for our great nation. I am so grateful that the College of Southern Maryland is designated as a military-friendly institution. That's something that we wear with pride. We really do. Many of our employees are veterans. Many of our students are veterans, and you can see the information right there on your table. Hundreds and hundreds of students. I'm very proud that we have a Veterans Center to support our students. We need to do that. That's the least we can do for people who have served our country. So again, thank you, all of you, for being here this morning. And at this point, I would like to turn the podium over to Commissioner John O'Connor. Welcome.
Well, good morning, and thank you for having me here. It's always an honor to speak to my fellow veterans. I've had the privilege of addressing quite a few veterans organizations and the veterans that are in the recovery process after return from war, something I know very well to myself. Leadership is something that I always look at, and there's a different version of leadership. If you were in the Army from 2000 to about 2005, before they changed everything up, we had on our dog tags leadership, loyalty, loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. The easiest way for me to explain this is really not to talk about what I did when I enlisted, because I had gone back and forth, and I wrote 3 different things down, but I'm never good at reading off the paper. I always have to speak from my heart. But to talk about my best friend and my battle buddy, who very unlikely pair, believe it or not. His name's Sean Wynn. We enlisted about 30 days apart. Him in Utah, me in Long Island, New York. A Mormon and a Catholic. We didn't know each other. He was in Alpha 795 and I was in Bravo 795, basic and AIT at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, all in one shot. For some reason, we were both crazy enough to say we wanted to volunteer to fall out of airplanes. So we both ended up at Fort Benning, Georgia. Still have not met each other at all. That extra $150 was great, though. I'll tell you, it really was. Especially as PFC, looking for beer on every other 2 weeks. That's it. But so we actually linked up at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and it was on my first jump. They call it a cherry blast, and I was late for manifest. Which, if anybody's anywhere in the military, you know you're 10 minutes early or you're late. So I had a staff sergeant jumping down my throat, and there's Sean laughing at me, and he's got his cherry pies in his pocket, and he said, "Did you go get your cherry pies?" I said, "No." He's like, "All right, well," he gave me one. From then, our friendship was formed. It was simply he saved my 6 on that one. We ended up serving together in the 108th MP Company, 21st MP Company, 87th MP Detachment CID. We served overseas in Iraq together. He went to Afghanistan, and I ended up not going to Afghanistan based on the timing coming back from Kosovo. But in the 108th MP Company, we both met Sergeant Quincy Davis, about 6'4", massive platoon sergeant. And he looks at us and he goes, "Are you two brothers?" We just laughed. And we said we could probably be the furthest apart people you ever know, but we're brothers, we're best friends. He said, "Okay, well, I'm going to separate you two." So we were no longer on the same squad. He went to 2nd Squad, I went to 3rd Squad. And somehow we ended up back together when we were deployed to Iraq. And he realized that separating us was the worst idea he possibly could ever do because it just disrupted everything in the platoon. So he promoted us together. We both became corporals, and he looked at us and he said, you two are my terrible corporals, and you're going to go out there, and I know you're going to wreak havoc, you're going to wreak hell, and go get the mission done. Well, then we both went to the board together. We both got promoted to sergeant. I got to beat Sean out, though, because I had more points than him. So, I had seniority on him by 30 days. So if it came down to it and I had a chance to tell him something to do, I would make sure I exercised that. We ended up on the same squad, the 2nd Platoon Assassins. He was Assassin 3 Bravo, and I was 3 Charlie. He would, I had this attitude in which I'd walk up to the window to discuss something to him after we were in a firefight, or, we had to deal with kicking in a door for some mission, and he'd just roll the window up on me. And he'd just look at me with this look like, go away. Almost like a wife would look at their husband after they've just had an argument about something and the wife knows that she's right. That's what it was. He wouldn't talk to me on the radio either. So we worked it out. But that's how Sean was. Sean was the same guy that after I was shot, pulled me out. He was there. He started telling me to keep me conscious how he was going to marry my sister. That kept me awake. I was like, no, you're not going to marry my sister, Sean. That's it. I kept thinking to myself, you're married anyway. How's this going to happen? So, that, and we both got hit by 2 IEDs when we were over there. And we had this squad leader, Sergeant Lanou. She was probably, all like 4'11" and maybe 90 pounds soaking wet. She comes running up, and we got hit pretty good. And I got the mic backwards, and I'm trying to talk. And she walks up, and she says, "Are you okay? Because you just got blown up." And there were some other explicitives, but and Sean walks up, and he, we're good, we're rattled, of course, bomb went off, it is what it is. But he walks up and goes, "Well, that was a pretty stupid move, man." He's like, "Why'd you drive over there?" Not your "are you okay," anything like that. It's just one of those relationships. And so through the surgeries, through my recovery, through everything, Sean was there. Sean himself was hit with an IED. Sean fell through a roof. And it's one of those relationships that you have with someone that bond that'll never break. So to this day, Sean was in Utah. We both got out of the military 1 year apart. I went to Fort Belvoir, and I was a K-9 handler. Sean remained at Fort Bragg. And then, but while we were at Fort Bragg, we got to do a lot of good things together. It's working undercover narcotics with CID, and he was my ghost. So I would go buy drugs and sell drugs, and he would watch and make sure I'm okay. And there was quite a few times I needed to know that he had my back. And he pulled me out of various sketchy situations as some random citizen. And that's at least what they thought. What does that all mean? It means in service that you don't have to know where the person is. You don't have to be there with them. You could be across the country. You could be on the other end of a radio. But there's a bond. It's an unspoken bond that's there. To this day, I haven't spoken to Sean in probably 90 days now. Easy. But I could pick up the phone right now and start the conversation as if we had just spoke 5 minutes ago. It doesn't matter where we are. There's a deeper connection because I know when he's going through something. I have that feeling, and everybody has that battle buddy. Everybody has that person they were with in combat, in the military, that to this day you wonder what they're doing. How are you? I hope they're doing okay. And you try and reach out and find them. I'm sure if maybe everybody in here has gone on social media and said, how's Sean doing? Let me try and find Sean, And that comes down to leadership for me. Loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. We're loyal to one another. We're loyal to our country. It doesn't matter if it's in service, after service. It's what we do in the community. We're here, we're part of veterans organizations. We're leaders in the community. We run for elected office. We're at colleges, we're universities. We're helping with animal welfare leagues. We're working with human rescue groups, and I say human rescue groups in the fact that I just learned a new term the other day. So it's one in which people need to be rescued because they don't know they need to be rescued. We go above and beyond, and we have a duty to everything that we do, to one another, to the people of this country. Regardless of the circumstance that we find ourselves in, we are willing to reach out and help someone. It's not judgment. And that's where we have respect, because I find most of the time veterans are not very judgmental of other people. We're very opinionated. There's no doubt about it. Yes. We will tell you what's on our mind. I'm very good at it. Believe me, I've been told plenty of times. Do you have a muzzle? Yeah, I've been told that. And that comes down to respect. And selfless service is everything I've already stated. It's the fact that we volunteered, we raised our right hand. We did what no other person in this country would do. The 1%, the best of this country. That's what we are through selfless service, and that continues through everything we do, our daily actions. You have honor. We honor our flag. We honor each other. We honor the people that we help and we interact with. Integrity. For me, this is the utmost of importance in all of this. When you walk up to a veteran and you say, do you need help? They'll tell you yes or no. They're not going to rob the system. They're not going to sit there and take from somebody that needs help more than them. The shirt off their back. The truth. You will get the truth from a veteran. Sometimes, depending on the situation, you got to pry a little bit. I was there, 2009. I went through my turmoil from being deployed, and I did not want to tell anybody that I was suffering. So I don't call that an integrity violation. I just say I didn't want help at the time. But you got to pry through, and I know plenty of people that have helped doing that. Personal courage. Every day. The personal courage to do everything else that I just stated. To pick up the phone, to be with your family, to build bridges, to lead in the community. The fact you displayed that just by raising your right hand. Volunteering for the unknown, not knowing what it was going to bring when you decided that you were going to enlist. I can tell you in 2000, I had no clue that I was going to go to Kosovo and be a part of that. I had no clue that I would stand in a combat zone for 18 months in the beginning of a war, lose 27 friends and family members in 2 years. Sean, same thing. He lost a lot of friends and family. So personal courage to not only do that, but deal with all of it afterwards. Wake up every day, put one foot in front of the other, and help somebody else. So to me, veteran is a word that cannot be defined by Webster's dictionary. It's defined by each and every person that raised their right hand. It's supported by those that support those that raise their right hands. That's exactly what it is. We can't forget the deeper meaning of the word. We can never forget the sacrifice and commitment that was given for our country, for the people of this country. So one day a year, we highlight that, and we make sure that it's recognized. And I try to thank a veteran anytime I see them every single day, whether they know I'm a veteran or not. It's something we can't forget. It's a legacy that we have all woven into every single stitch of that flag. So I thank you for your service to our country. I thank you for the support that you've given me, Sean, and everybody else in coming together. Because if we stop doing what we're doing here, we'll forget everything. And our nation can't forget. So thank you.